People asked that I speak about the FIFA 22 gameplay deep dive. And I am. We're going to go through it together. I've not read it in its entirety yet. It's only surface level stuff. And, the overall position that people want me to kind of put out there is, does it seem like this game is changing for the absolute better? Now, I want to, before I set the scene, and I'm going to take my time. This is going to be probably a very long segment because this is a very long deep dive. Actually, I'm surprised EA even fucking did this, believe it or not. But my approach to FIFA, and, there are people who don't play FIFA who always say, well, it's the same game every year, and it's not. Just because it's the same sport and you see guys kicking a fucking ball around does not mean it plays the exact same. And for FIFA, unfortunately, it's been getting progressively worse in terms of its gameplay. Now, my issues with FIFA is maybe different from a lot of other people. My issue with FIFA is not with as much the pay to win aspect, which is there. And I don't like that. Make no mistake. There's the worst types of microtransactions, in my honest opinion, is where people can just will off a bunch of money, buy packs, though they can't buy the direct players like they can on games like 2K. They can buy a bunch of packs and then try to get the best team. That's not as much my issue, though I don't like that, and I think that it should be not in the game. And I don't think this game should be being released every year because of it. I think there should just be a FIFA and they update it. Maybe it's coming out every 3 to 5 years or something like that. Would be more of a preferable model, and that it focuses on gameplay and allows people to just play to get better teams. And what we're referring to is, of course, FIFA Ultimate Team. And that's a game that's the mode in the game that a lot of people play. Yes, there's career mode. Yes, there's pro clubs, but the game is sold based on FIFA Ultimate Team, which is the card-based mode that's supposed to be driven by its gameplay, and that's been my biggest problem with it. And I think this is where I'm going to lose a lot of people. I think some of your fucking pros are actually the part of the problem that's been in EA's ear, because a lot of them, it's them that have had the game changed for the absolute fucking worst. They've been part of it, the esport community, the people that try to play this competitively, which I'm one of those that play it competitively. Unfortunately, what they want from the game is different from certainly what it is that I want. And they don't often want the game to be more competitive. That's not what it is that they want. So we've had this past year of game abuse mechanics. Same problem that we've had before, where there's a meta, there's only one way to play. And if you do play another way like I do, you can win games, but you're going to be at a significant disadvantage when it comes to this because of what is deemed as the meta. Broken game mechanics, that stupid ass bridge. There's no way to, there's minimal ways to stop it. There's only one playing style. Pace is obviously the dominant thing. And this is why the pay to win aspect wouldn't be as much of a problem if better players could dominate the pitch without having to have pace. Like, not every player is fucking Mbappe, but they are very good players. And unfortunately, because of what's baked in the game, they basically made it to where pace is the dominant thing. And I've always hated that in FIFAs. So what would I have liked before we go into this deep dive? What are we? I don't know how many minutes. I'm a fucking 3 minutes in. What I would like for this game to focus on is making it to obviously have various amounts of ways to play when it comes to a style standpoint. The midfield, for example, in the past year was fucking non-existent. There's no such thing as a CDM. You could not even run things with having a midfield that was prominent. It was basically center backs against the forwards. The midfield was completely, no matter what it is that you did in terms of the player tactics, they did not fucking play correctly. I would love for them to give the from a tactical standpoint, give us more of an option to have maybe our CDMs press, do stuff like that, while also allowing better passers, better shooters who maybe not be that fast, better defenders to be able to dominate as such because they're good. And those individual players are good at something. Instead of helping them out so much, if they have assisted passing, they press X, it goes around the player or goes in the one spot. Even if the player's passing is shit, it goes into one spot that the defender can't get to it, even though the manual defender has the proper line. And this is my last thing. from a gameplay standpoint, where I would love FIFA to go in terms of its direction, is make manual defending fucking matter. This has been my biggest gripe for FIFA for a very long time, where the game fucking punishes you for being better than the opponent. And I'm not talking about with lucky bounces where you blocked an incoming shot or a pass and it landed in the defender's or the offensive guy's laps and he kicks the bitch in the back of the net. That's not what it is that I'm talking about, though. Not just that. I am saying where if the player is better on stick than the other guy, he should win almost virtually every single fucking time. Make manual defending fucking matter. Give more at the disposal to the defender, which hopefully they do in this upcoming year. I'm not holding my breath for anything, so that they can combat these uber pacey players, make strength matter, make these sort of things matter, to where people can dominate actually from a manual defending perspective. Stop fucking helping them out. Now, I don't envision them doing that because, well, you can't have people running. The pros aren't going to like it, running up their wings, having through balls, fucking hitting it to the pacey player so he can have a 1v1 situation with the keeper who is a fucking retard. That's not what it is that they're going to want to do, because the pros are going to bitch. It'll get patched to hell, and then here we go. Pace shouldn't matter as much as what it has in FIFA. But let's deep dive. Let's deep dive into what it is that they're doing here with FIFA 22. I just wanted to go on a quick rant about my issues. Usually it's gameplay related with FIFA, and let's see if FIFA 22, what they are actually addressing. The big thing that everybody's talking about right now is this hypermotion technology. Those are buzz terms to me. They mean absolutely nothing until I actually have the game in like on the demo or whatever, and I can actually play it. All of this doesn't mean anything. However, there are things that can be addressed that I would love for them to acknowledge. So let's read this real quick, and we'll go through it. We're going to take our time. My name is Thomas Kalefi, gameplay producer of FIFA, and he's talking about there being some sort of a deep dive here, and some of this is going to be exclusive to the next generation, which I'm not opposed to that or whatever. I know some people like that play on PC are pissed because they're going to be playing the old generation, or the current generation rather, version of the game, and some of these gameplay updates are going to be exclusive to both the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and so forth. So we start our development process by setting key pillars for what we want to present for FIFA 22's gameplay. Here are some of them. Refreshing as many gameplay areas as possible based on feedback in order to create a more authentic, polished FIFA experience for all players. Doesn't mean anything. Fairness. Improve situations that could have felt frustrating from a gameplay perspective. Our aim is to reward players for performing the right action at the right time. I would love that. That's great news. For example, this includes situations like being able to defend the bridge, which is a goddamn cheese. The fact that lasted in the game for as long as it has is fucking bullshit. Or a dribble with clever positioning. Increase gameplay variety in order to enable a greater number of viable play styles. Thank you. Though I'm not holding my breath, FIFA gods, because you're probably going to fuck this up. There will end up being a meta. We are looking to make the on-pitch action more diverse than before, so that there's no single best way to play. God damn it, I would love that, to where I can play in whatever style that it is that I want to, and it be viable, instead of having pacey forwards and throwing through balls or kicking through balls the entire fucking time. So if they actually somehow are able to pull that off, and that was a point of emphasis, that will be the game changing for the absolute fucking better. So they talk about this hyper motion. I'm not going to go through that because none of this matters. Basically, long story short, what happened is that they have, instead of doing like the individual mocaps that they have historically done for this game, what they did was have 22 pro soccer players basically being mocapped, if you will. And they took that data, and then they have built like 4,000 or something new animations from that. So you should see them turning and the way that they do things, as well as defending as a unit, is supposed to be better. Again, that doesn't mean much to me unless you can see it and feel it in practice. Here's a little video of some of the mocap stuff it is that we've seen. And like definitely from a defending standpoint, you can see where they're more so acting as a unit with FIFA 22, because they're saying that they were able to gather some of the stuff that they got and the data that they got from that 11v11. Instead of just doing 1v1s and telling them what to do, they just let them play, and then they took all that data. So we should see, I would hope, more body up stuff and everything as well, to see if they're going to be able to make that matter, because the humanization aspect of it means fucking nothing to me if they haven't actually made a better game in the process. Machine learning, let's talk about combining 11v11 mocap with the player power the new consoles. They have 8.7 new frames of data to basically utilize. Let's see what this video here does. So basically what it is, it looks like it's showing the different runs, and the AI seems to be, I guess, look, all of this right here, what we're seeing doesn't mean much, because that shit can get passed. It says that, but this ML flow, which is what they're calling it, neural network algorithm, is able to generate a ball approach animations in real time, including stride adjustments, run cadence, pose matching, and transitions. And that's more so what we're referring to as far as the game getting better from a gameplay perspective, is just that. Yes, you want some sense of realism, and it needs to be there. And what matters, I guess, in this context of the game, is having them adjust to where the ball's at and what it is that it's doing. So unfortunately, these canned animations will allow them to have, they're only running one way, because that's the only way that they know how to run, no matter if the ball is like, no matter where it's at. Whereas hopefully with this new data and what it is that they're saying, is it's supposed to have them be more cognizant of where they're at. If they're approaching the ball, they shorten their steps and do stuff like that, which will make for better first touches and stuff. Here we have an example of them running. This is how they adjust without the ML flow. And you saw that kind of unrealistic stutter there. And okay, I can see that mattering. That people that don't play this game are going to see that, and they're going to think that doesn't matter. But it does. Because when the player has to adjust like that, you get a retarded animation, and that could be the difference between getting a shot on goal and losing the fucking ball. But if they're going to adjust and shorten their stride and do one fluid motion, it makes for more options instead of, again, getting trapped in a canned animation. All right, let's see what this says. Full team authentic motion says, as mentioned earlier, we've been able to add over 4,000 new animations to FIFA 22. These new animations help improve immersion by adding a variety of gameplay experience, including set pieces, shooting, skill moves, passes, player movement, blah, 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 all of this other dumb shit that doesn't mean anything. But the idea is that the players move more as a unit. And we'll see what happens. Tactical AI, we rewrote the intelligence and tactical approach of all 22 players on the pitch, emphasizing their roles, personality, and teamwork. Players better understand their teammates and how they work together, and also understand opponents' tactics, which technically was in the game already, but yeah, of course it could have been reworked. I think my big issue with this have been the midfield. The midfield doesn't adjust to anybody. No matter how good they are, no matter how good their defensive awareness. I feel like defensive awareness was a fucking fake stat for a very long time in FIFA, because no matter if you told them to sit back, they don't move or they don't react to what it is that their teammates are doing. So oftentimes, sometimes you'll catch them like filling a gap, but for the most part, that's not what it is that they do. Even though they're there and they're in position to make that, they're like basically running around with their heads up their assholes. And by the way, when it says NG, it's talking about what's in the next generation. Okay, so it says for attacking, last year we improved several aspects of attacking players with positioning, personality. This year with new tactical AI, players can make up to 6 times more decisions per second. Like what, 6 times as in they can make 6 now because they only can make 1 decision? Better showcasing their nuanced player personality. This allows them to be more aware of their surroundings, performing smarter runs in the build-up play, exploit spaces in the defense, and generally be in the right place at the right time more often. It sounds good. But the attacking was always overpowered in FIFA anyway. Let's see what this shit's about. He said, as was the case last year, the positioning attribute continues to be the most important in determining the effectiveness of these behaviors. The positioning attribute was another fake stat in this past year. You basically, if they had pace and you sent them on the run, it didn't matter if they were fucking, they wouldn't say that, but it didn't matter if their attacking position was low or high. None of that ever mattered. They would go wherever they were going to go. Where they're saying now that the positioning attribute should matter a little more. And I would love it too. I would love for dumb players to be able to play like dumb players. But this is the most important part of the defense. It says your defenders can operate more as a unit with new tactical AI, maintain the shape of the formation when moving across the pitch, cover vacant spaces, mark each defending zone accordingly, and bring more authenticity to the overall defensive shape. These are all things that sound good. And they talk about the defensive awareness attribute continues to be the most important thing with these behaviors. We'll see. They said with tactical AI, you have more personality. In FIFA 22, defensive work rates and fatigue have a significant impact on defending positioning of players. Again, that should be the case, and that should matter. But it's not if they're gonna patch it. If they're gonna patch it immediately, it doesn't. None of this matters. Placing any player that is not a center back in a center back position will negatively impact their defensive positioning. Good. So maybe they're talking about people that have CDMs and they drop them as center backs. Our goal is for tactical AIs to ensure the players have balanced experience in terms of AI teammates, and we'll keep monitoring FIFA 22 to make sure there are good ways to break a defensive down as well as good ways to counter. I think that has always been a problem with this game, is that there's virtually the defense is left basically it can't do shit from a manual standpoint as well. Oh, now AI defending being more overpowered than manual defending is fucking retarded. But here's a video. I want to see what it is that they're doing right now. I'm looking at the defense. This is the part of the pitch that has always been the problem right here, guys. Right here has always been the problem. This middle part of the pitch. I want to see how these guys react. Okay, there's a switch of play. I can see everybody moving up this way. Hopefully there's a stat where you can change that. Otherwise, they're going to just keep kicking the ball left to right. Hold up. I know this is like nerd shit right now for people. I'm looking at these defenders right here. It's still a problem. I can tell you right now it's still a problem. I don't know if y'all are paying attention to this that are watching this. If you're watching this after the fact, it's still a problem. I want you to. So I don't know what. So they're playing a 4. It looks like a 4. These two are the CDMs. Look at these players right here. I don't know what their tactics are set to, but these guys right here should be dropping down and covering this part of the field. Watch these two. They're fucking standing there. So I can tell you right there, they have not fixed that aspect of the game. Most people would not pick up on that, but the midfield should be the most key part of the game. And you can see right now, and again, maybe it's a tactical thing. They don't even fucking move. These two players right here are basically not into play. They're not there. Look at them. I don't like that. It's a small thing, but the CDMs that have been a big time issue, and I hope that there's an individual tactic that you can change. Because if it was my preference, if I have a CDM who isn't going forward, I want that motherfucker covering the center of the field. And if the ball is right there, I want him pressing. I want him pressing every single time. But he's not covering the space. There's all this green grass right here. And they're covering the back line and they're in front of them. But this green grass right here, they're offering zero support. Basically, this whole part of the field is wide fucking open. Because these guys are right there. They gotta fix that. If they don't fix that, the game is the same fucking problem. So this doesn't tell me anything. It shows me that, like, definitely here, with the switch of play, these guys move as a unit better because you can see them shifting and adjusting, which that can help a little bit. Like, I would love for my left back and my right back to drop down. That's what we want. So that's a great thing that they're doing that. But my most important guys on the pitch, my CDMs right now, ball watching, I can't have that. I cannot look at them. No. Competitive settings, master switch. Let's talk about this. Someone said in the chat, another DDA game. Yeah, I know. I fucking know. As we mentioned at the start of this deep dive, one of the big pillars of FIFA 2022, is focused on aiming for gaming fairness by eliminating frustrating gameplay situations. We continue to have feedback sessions with pro players. That's the worst demographic to listen to. The pro community for FIFA is by far among the fucking worst. And I'm not saying that playing the game. Those are the prime abusers of the game mechanics, and they do not ensure good play because they abuse whatever it is. Listening to the pro community for FIFA is by far the worst community to listen to. Members of the community, maybe. Hardcore FIFA players, maybe. But the pro players, listening to them is by far the worst demographic to listen to when it comes to this game. And you can say that I'm taking shots. I don't give a fuck. A lot of the guys that I see abusing game mechanics, not being actually good at the game, but abusing game mechanics are the fucking pro players, man. Subcombat tactics always came up. Players wanted to have more control, have a higher skill ceiling, which I want that too. And experience for more consistency in certain areas. As such, we are expanding FIFA 22 competitive settings. While mandatory in some modes, the competitive settings are available for every mode. The mandatory competitive settings changed by competitive master switch is okay. So what are these? When you're playing in the competitive thing, they're always off. Contextual agile dribbling is off. Okay, I'm okay with that, meaning that you're gonna have to be able to control if they're gonna be if they're gonna do the agile dribbling. I'm 100%. Auto clearance is off. Okay, that means you're gonna have to be paying attention. Auto flare pass, auto shot off, auto shots off, assisted headers off. Thank you. Turn that shit the fuck off. Like, turn that off. Jockey manual, yes. Abso-fucking-lutely. Like, imagine this. Imagine this. For guys that don't play this game and don't know what it is that I'm talking about, there's a literal fucking button. There was an option in this past year that motherfuckers could basically have the computer help them out in terms of the jockey movement of the players. How cheesy is fucking that? How cheesy is that? But that shit was in the game. That shit was that shit needs to be a manual. If they're controlling that player, they need to be fucking controlling that player. If they suck and they don't know how to play defense, they need to be getting fucking destroyed every fucking time. Stop helping these motherfuckers out. I don't know. I don't see anything, unfortunately, about the contain. Hopefully the contain option isn't on there where you can hold X and your players like strafing in front of them. Hopefully that shit's off. Through passing is semi, so there's no auto. It looks like there's no assisted through passing anymore. Hallelujah. Modes where competitive settings are always active. Foot rivals, champions. Those are the only things that I'm gonna be fucking playing. So that's all I fucking care about. Yes, that's a good thing. That is a great fucking thing. That's a great thing. It's the first thing that I've read where those things are actually, you can't change those. Now, I wish some more, like some of the assisted stuff would go to semi as well, but I actually like that. I like that. I like it a lot. Let's continue on. Okay, you can change, but look at this. So this is what it looks like. Basically, you can't change any of this. Okay. I'm okay with that. I love that the jockey movement isn't. They don't have assisted jockey movement either anymore. That's going to make for more dynamic gameplay in 1v1 situations with defender versus like okay, you're playing 1v1 against someone else, but also like say if I'm controlling the center back and he's controlling the attacker, that's going to make for more dynamic gameplay that the game isn't fucking helping them out. A deeper match analysis. So it's saying you can get some more match facts. Player performance on screens are now equipped with more match data. Okay, I can get with that. Started with match facts, so you can see more detailed dribble success rate. Okay, I don't think that was in there last year. Okay, I could dig that. What I hope they do is make for more advanced stats for your players. That would help with the RPG aspect of the game, or the team building aspect of the game, because unfortunately, the only thing you can see after the game, there are no advanced stats. You can see how many assists he has, how many goals that player has, and how many, like what kind of cards they've got, but there's no like, okay, this person averages this team rating. He averages this amount of tackles or anything like that. So you can really see who's being effective and sub them out if you need to. The new all performance screen lets you know how each player has contributed to the team. But again, if this I like this, don't get me wrong, it's more detailed, but unfortunately, if this isn't available after the game is complete, it doesn't matter. For foot, that is, for Ultimate Team. Like, this is a cool little screen. It looks like we have you can tell where they're dominating the this little heat seeking deal. Okay, I like it, but that doesn't help me unless it's here. Let's see what this is about. This is something that I've been most intrigued by when I heard about this, and they were supposedly using some of the hypermotion technology with it to change some of this shit up. Reason being is because like having bigger, stronger, more athletic players, maybe not fast, got nullified, right? So air balls, and I know pros hated the back when they said headers were overpowered. I disagreed with them in some of the previous installments. I disagree with them. It's just they were using like these pacey ass center backs who really weren't that athletic and they weren't good defending. So if you had someone like Zlatan going in there jumping over their ass, you could win the headers. But they kind of removed that from the game. Headers aren't nearly as for those types of stronger players. You're not winning those battles and stuff, and it's because there's no true collision-based system with those players. So here it says that there's a full team, authentic motion animations, and it enhances the player's interaction with battling for air balls. All kinetic air battle animations were captured with footballers performing those motions in real life. Our system mixes and synchronizes player animations that work together, providing cleaner outcomes, improving sensation of physicality, and maintaining responsiveness, which is always good for each situation. So let's look at this. So you can see them bumping into each other. What I hope, though, however, is that it's not necessarily a canned animation like all the time. Like, hopefully it's like, okay, this will trigger that type of situation, which is what they say, that the animations that'll work together. So we'll see what happens. Explosive sprint. This was the one that I feared when I heard about this, because this seems like what basically the bridge animation was. I was fucking hoping that this isn't broken, but apparently they're giving the defenders an ability to explosive sprint as well. So we'll see what it is that they're doing. It says explosive sprint towards timing and your intelligence on the ball, giving players a more noticeable acceleration when sprint is pressed during the correct context. This mechanic changes dynamic one-on-one situations, allowing dribblers to explode forward and leave markers behind, or empowering defenders to catch up to a breakaway attacker. Explosive sprint can be triggered while already in possession of the ball or dribbling, or without the ball. The timing here is important, with explosive sprint only being fully effective when facing forward and moving forward, so you can't like run backwards and do it. If either the player is not fully moving or forward or fully facing forward, you only get the partial effect. Okay, so you can't. Basically, you have to make sure they're facing right to benefit it the most. It says, note that when we say moving toward or fully facing forward, we refer to the straight line direction that the player in question is facing, meaning explosive sprints are not fully effective when using them while moving in any direction but a straight line. So it's only basically that's the context that you're supposed to use. You can't like run in a circle and fucking do it. Normal acceleration rates when pressuring or holding sprint still apply in all of the situations. To balance the mechanic, the explosive sprint only happens for a short duration when activated, then tapers off going into a cooldown period. Okay, that's interesting. How long is the cooldown period? And it cannot be activated until it ends. How long is the cooldown period, I guess, is the question. So here we go. Where is it at? Oh, that's it. Okay, I see. I wasn't reading this. So, okay. That's without the explosive sprint. And then that's man, that seems like that could be broken, dude. Look at that. Look at that amount of speed. Look at this. I mean, there's got to be. I don't know how this is going to look with the defense, man. But, man, that I could see a situation where that's fucking broken because holy shit. With some of these pacey-ass players, man, that is an unreal burst of speed. We'll see, man. If they're giving the defender the ability to do that, maybe you can counteract that. Inspired by the advanced 11v11 match capture in FIFA 22, we included additional animations to enhance player humanization. For example, when you see players talk to each other on the pitch and watch teammates point to certain areas as they request passes that show a better understanding of match situations. We've implemented new moments to increase immersion and humanization. I don't give a fuck about any of this. That doesn't mean anything to me. That's just basically, the guy puts his hands up. He talks to us like, I'll go fuck. Maybe for, I guess, career mode guys to make for that experience to be more immersive. That means something, but I don't give a fuck about that. Yeah, it doesn't mean anything to me. Unless they're doing that and they're actually going to be responding to that, but that's just all cosmetic shit. True ball physics says we use real world ball data. So the ball is supposed to be bouncing and shit a little better. Compared to last year, but I mean, again, this is one of those things where we're gonna have to play it. It looks like the curve rating, you're gonna be able to do a lot more than that. Curve and finesse to see how that's kind of dropping in the travel. So you're gonna be able to seemingly get the ball around defenders, which again, the best players can do that, as opposed to having to shoot in a straight line or that only being dedicated to finesse shots. But no, I feel like that was always there. Maybe how it drags, though, is going to be different. Attacking, new attacking tactics. All right, let's see what this is about. This is the part of the game where I wish mattered more. We are expanding tactic customization and instructions to enable more gameplay variety. For FIFA 22, one of the main differences is breaking down the attacking tactics in two sections. Okay, build up play and chance creation. This separation can enable players to have more control over play styles and behaviors. Okay, so before, how they played, for context of the guys that haven't played this, how it was is that this was only one stat. So you had like possession playing and all of that sort of stuff, and through playing for the long ball, all of that was only one stat. They're saying now there's more options, but they also are broken up into two sections. So it makes for even more dynamic gameplay. So build-up play is about how your team performs when they are in possession of the ball in your own half. For instance, you can choose to slowly build your attack or try to push up as fast as possible. Build-up play composed of four tactics. You have balance, which is basically what it says, slow build-up play, long ball, fast build-up. All of that was there before, if I'm not mistaken. Slow build-up will support more attacking build-up play rather than direct approach with lots of forward runs. This tactic emphasizes short passing with a slower build-up. Nobody's going to play with that other than probably me. I don't play like a grandpa, but I don't like to play long ball, through ball shit either. Chance creation is how your team will attack the opponent in their half. So what is this then? Build up players on your team when they're in possession of the ball in your own half. Okay. So one's if you have control of it in your own half. The other is if you have control of it and you're in the attacking half. Gotcha. And then you got balance, possession, direct passing. I think this is new. It says once the team enters the attacking zone while in possession, players will create chances by making runs for passes into space behind the opposing back line. Strikers who are fast with a good attacking position attribute are usually well suited for this tactic, which seems like everybody's going to play with this because everybody but me plays with attackers with 99 fucking pace. Okay, see, I was intrigued by this, but there's nothing from the defense. There's no defensive tactic. I don't like that. It's just both tactics are you're either in possession of it in your own half or you're in possession of it in their half. I don't like that. There are more. Hold on, but it does say maybe. Oh, it looks like it's going on later on. Okay, it says there are more changes to tactics and instructions that can be found in the defending section later. Okay, never mind what it is. This is what happens when you don't read fully. Composed ball control. What is this? The new composed ball control animations are longer two-touch animations that make controlling the ball more natural. This enables players to trap the ball in specific circumstances with more fluidity and precision, both in responsiveness and for visuals, allowing for better setup of subsequent plays. Players can perform these highly technical traps to better control air balls, strengthen shielding situations, and to be more agile. Okay, what's this video? Okay, so it's like one. That's always been there, though. Like, are they just doing it faster? But because that's for the most part been there. Due to these animations cushioning the ball and resulting in a more precise and accurate control than any other type of ball control animation, specific chain traps are present within composed ball control and can get increased chances of being performed when the player is not sprinting. There are no opponents nearby except for when you're shielding. The left stick has to remain still while performing composed ball control to allow the animation to complete. Okay, interesting. This condition makes the impacted traps more responsive. Specific attributes dictate how consistently they can be performed. Okay, all right. So not everybody can do it, basically, is what they're saying, and not everybody can do it in every given situation. It says specific attributes dictate how consistently they are performed. It says air ground composed ball control, at least 70 ball control with 60 agility. Shielding composed ball control, at least 60 ball control and 70 strength. I feel like that could be bumped up. The consistency scales up with the needed attributes, with the cap averaging of 92 between aforementioned attributes. So I'm interested to see how the shielding composed ball control for the bigger, stronger players is in this game. So with like Lewandowski, who's not the fastest man in the world, I wonder if but he does have high ball control and he's strong. I'm interested to see if he can get how that shielding ball control or that shielding composed ball control works. Let's see this. Okay. So that's when nobody's there. So basically what they're doing is they're going through one animation. There's no hiccup, which is good for speed. But I want to see how, like, when they have a player on them, I want to see that. They haven't shown any of these. Yeah, okay. Controlling the ball, we focus on improving the player's grasp over the ball, polishing many situations, make situations to more reliably obtain ball control of the ball. I can't read work shit right now. Be it in the air, on the ground, where we work shielding fundamentals with a big emphasis on player personality, where strength and ball control, which is what I like to hear, attributes play a major part of the efficiency of shielding. Thank you. I'm so sick and fucking tired of players having goddamn Neymar and being able to fucking shield a player when Neymar might be 145 pounds, maybe, and I'm probably giving him too much there. And he's able to fucking shield off these big-ass center backs and shit, which he should not ever be able to do. It's one thing to maintain some sort of balance, but to be able to shield off a player that fucking strong is bullshit. So hopefully the strength attribute, that's the one attribute as well I would love to matter more in FIFA. Strength. Because they don't know how to separate that from balance. They've never have. Improve control for shielding air balls, allowing stronger players to more reliably win air duels with shielding. See, if they can stick this could be one of the more dynamic FIFAs if they actually stick to that. Because I could tell you what's going to happen. What's going to happen is if if the players that are using bigger, stronger players are in these given scenarios and they win often, because what people do is they like to play with center backs that have maybe more speed, but they aren't as strong. So if I have a more strong or attacking opponent, I might dominate them. Pros are going to be bitching at that. But I would love for there to be a give and a take to where, yeah, and in some given scenarios, it makes sense for the faster player to be able to control it, but you got to make it where these other types of players are effective. It also helps from a pay-to-win standpoint because the cheaper players could still be viable. Contextual air ball shielding, allowing strong players to naturally shield the ball in contested situations when no other action is required besides the left stick input. Players need 85 strength, which is fucking high, by the way, to contextually shield, or 75 strength to if the opponent is 75, it's 5 strength less. So either you have 85, and if you don't have 85, you need at least 75 if he's 5 strength less, if that makes sense. Active touch system can now evaluate more situations at once, drastically reducing the cases of players not controlling the ball. Improvements to responsiveness and active touch with more fidelity, trapping, okay, blah, blah, blah. Let's see what they do with the passing. Let's see what this is. In FIFA 22, we focus on ground passes, lob passes, and lob through passing systems to better account for context of play, including opposition player positioning, teammate positioning, general spacing, and many types of situations. Here are some of the most impactful changes. Okay, animation refresh. New animations have been added, and a major cleanup and polish of existing passing animations has been done, allowing for more consistency. Okay. A revamp, and this is the ground passes, a revamp of ground passing targeting system, allowing player to better target selection and spatial awareness. Semi-assisted ground passes were also refreshed. Lob passes and lob through passing, these types of passes have more consistency and height. Well, this is all been here. Semi-assisted through passes is part of competitive settings. Semi-assisted through passes were expanded from last year to have more assistance for close and simple passes and less assistance for far more difficult passes. The more difficult and further the pass, the more precise players' aim and power input has to be. Okay. I don't like to help them out when it's shorter, but I do like it making it more difficult if it's a longer pass. Vision assistance. Assistance increases based on the player's vision attributes. Okay. So now that stat seems to matter. Again, this is all sounds good, but it's one patch from being fucking eliminated. Additional passing improvement. Pass transitions. This refers to a system that improves responsiveness and allows for transitions between passes. You can request a different type of pass halfway through a pass request, and the system will then attempt to stop the current pass to perform the new request. This can be especially useful when reacting to sudden situations, so I don't have to cancel and then do it. The Throughpass Receiver system is able to analyze more receivers, resulting in better overall pass targets. Receiver awareness is increased in order for teammates to understand when they are being considered. Okay. Increased personality in passing through and lobbed through passes. Quality is mostly determined by vision attribute and less by the shortened passing attributes. Okay. So they're making this attribute become more prevalent, which I like that, because again, that makes, as I've mentioned, more dynamic play. So you don't have to rely upon just one sort of stat. You can get a lot of good play from people who are maybe not the fastest, but they have higher stats in other areas. That's why they should make these stats matter more. The crossing attribute can increase the speed of a driven pass. Okay, interesting. And a driven and ground pass. See, all this sounds good because what it sounds like, it says the player's current speed when requesting a pass alters the difficulty of that pass. The higher the speed, the more negative impact. So players that, like the Pirlos of the world, are useless on FIFA. I've always hated that. He was useless basically when you played as him when he was actually in a league, because he was never fast, but he had high passing stats. And even with his icon version, this approach makes it to where that player is useful. Pirlo should be one of the players that are dominating in terms of the center attacking midfield, though they might not have he's not the fastest guy in the world. He's not fast at all, actually. But if you make it to where his touch is nice, his crossing attribute is going to determine it's going to separate him from characters that are worse or players that are worse in terms of their passing because he has a high passing stat. That makes him be more useful. And that's the one thing, or one of the things that I talked about at the beginning of the video or the segment, is that I want more players to be more useful. And that's one way that you can make them useful. Shooting, we focused on a variety of fixes and improvements, but also made balancing changes to 3 key aspects. Improved shooting consistency in easy one-on-one situations. Shots from difficult situations with the defender being close to the ball carrier have reduced conversion rate. Good, because it's always awesome to be right in front of a motherfucker and he kick it through your legs and it goes in the top fucking corner. Shots from wide, tight angles have reduced target on goal percentage, making them less consistent to score. Okay. Oh, that's like, running down the line and there's only one place to put the ball and he puts it in the back of the net. Besides, again, this is one patch from being fucking destroyed, so it doesn't matter. Well, it matters, but again, they could. All it takes is a couple of pros bitching, and then next thing you know, it changes. Besides numerous fixes and overall improvements, it's worth mentioning that we've changed green shot timing. This is for guys to do timing, so that's back. Dribbling. Okay, let's see what this is about. For FIFA 22, we focused on dribbling fundamentals and added a few mechanics to spice up your play. Super knock-on, which is a double right stick forward situation. The knock-on distance is farther if you flick and hold the right stick on second flick if you perform 2 consecutive quick flicks. So it's like, let me see this in action. Okay, interesting. So is that a double like super knock on? Okay, so that's that. Okay, I get it. That's a double. Okay, that I like that. Basically, you can make the ball go way out further. Which again, that doesn't just work for pacier players. Like on that instance right there, this defender is taking a fucking terrible line because he's going right at the ball. This is where something like this could be useful, where the other guy's running lateral. He's running straight, essentially, and the other guy's running lateral, I guess, depending on what way you put it, vertical v horizontal. So if he pushes it out in front of him and he doesn't get to the ball, this defender is completely out of the play, or he should be. He should be, and that doesn't matter how fast he is. I mean, he recovered pretty well, though, to be fair. Go look at this turn, this blue. Yeah, like, I'm interested to see what other mechanics are at play there. It says riding tackle touches allows you to dribble past some tackles with your left stick input depending on the timing of your dribbling input. Better dribbling control at high speeds with closer touches and more gradual deceleration. That's going to be interesting because that could be broken. Motherfucker going full speed and still able to control the ball that well. Quicker turns and exits during dribbles. This mimics the touches and quickness of some of the world's greatest dribblers. I'm not against that. Added more player personality, especially when sprinting, performing knock-ons, dribbling under pressure. Manual dink dribble touch. The fuck is that? Press R3 during a dribble to perform a dink touch while dribbling. Perfect for avoiding the defender's leg. Contextual dink touch. The fuck? Only enabled when contextual agile dribbling is turned on. But isn't that off? Or I thought no, it's I guess it's off if the computer doesn't control it. This performs dink dribble touches automatically. Well, I'm gonna have to see how that works in practice. This is turned off by default when using competitive settings. So again, is it all right? I don't know. Skill move balancing. The main goal is to balance skill moves and make them effective if timed and executed correctly after listening to feedback from the community and pros. That's always bad. The latter, we made the following balancing changes. Remove skill move cancel. Thank you. Man, I'm so for like these locker cut, these elastico, all these cancels where a motherfucker goes into a crackhead ass animation because he canceled the move. I'm glad they took that shit out of there. Reduced animation speed for bridge and directional nutmegs. But again, none of this matters if the pros or anybody for that matter start bitching and they'll basically say, well, I can't use it anymore. Thank you, though. Get that shit out of the game. That shit was broke. Drag back, spin, forward touch, turn, and step overs can be canceled. That might be the new meta then. Drag to drag skill move can now be triggered by holding right stick backwards. Heel to heel skill move is more difficult to successfully form. Yeah, that was the easiest skill. It's one of the most effective and easiest skill moves to perform, mainly because of how fast you go into it. Like, you can be at a standstill, do the heel to heel, and next thing you know, you're fucking gone. New animations for directional nutmeg 90-degree turns. Okay. First time skill moves. Okay. This is interesting. One important change that we want to highlight are the first time skill moves, which are something we receive lots of feedback on. With this improvement, skill moves can now be executed in the first time situation as the ball coming towards the player. So it's the first touch. In the past, it was only able to be done with fake shots. Now skill moves with the right stick are possible as well. For balancing purposes, first time skill moves have the following changes. Certain skill moves cannot be performed first time, such as step overs, body feints. Skill moves in the first time situation will be harder to control while dribbling, especially with the incoming ball velocity is high. First time skill moves will not work from driven passes, so you can't like pass the motherfucker out of it and then do the skill move. New skill moves. All right, they got 4 new skill moves. Skilled bridge. I wish the bridge. I mean, look, I'm okay with it being in the game, but hopefully it's not broken. All right, this is the most important part of this whole segment, which is nearly an hour long, and that is the defending. For a very long time, there were 2 things that were happening here, and that is the defense was either broken, as in overpowered, or they were severely underpowered. Generally, it was because the player could, and you've heard me bitch about this if you watch this on Twitch. The player could allow, basically, unfortunately, his AI to defend for him, and his AI defending was better than his manual defending. And under no circumstance should that ever be the case, to where basically a guy gets punished for playing manual defense. So they have a new goalkeeper rewrite. I had less of a problem with this because, yes, the goalkeeper would do some retarded shit, but this is just buzz shit. They have over 600 new animations, so they do other stuff. I understand this, but this isn't going to fix anything. Defensive behavior. Let's see what this is about. Fair and predictable outcomes. This year's improvement on the defending side were aimed to ensure fair, consistent, and predictable outcomes when it comes to defending situations. For instance, we've seen that some players felt like tackling could be a point of frustration, so we've updated tackle behavior as described later in this deep dive. Okay, there are some balancing changes we made. Improved tackling animation selection, resulting in cleaner outcomes. Means nothing. Better ball speed and angle for successful tackle. Increasing the likelihood of the ball going towards your teammates. Thank you. That helps. But again, I remember talking about this past year in a patch, and it didn't help. New possession style tackles improved at the tackler's ball retrieval rate on good tackles when the situation is appropriate. So what this is explaining, and it's something that frustrated me a lot, was that, you know, you be in a great position, you make the tackle, and you don't get rewarded as in getting the ball. What happens is it'll maybe go to either the same opponent that you got it from, you tackled, or it would go to his teammate. That needs to be cleaned up. But again, all of this is a patch away. New possession style tackles, though, that's what they have. Reduce launching distance for automatic tackles in general, especially during sprint. Reduce situation when automatic tackles would trigger unfairly behind the opponent. Improve tackling for air balls. Added more variety of ball deflections for allowing a block. Automatic blocks are now less effective when the player is not jockeying. Okay, so auto blocks are not as good. Auto blocks are not as successfully performed and have higher chances of missing. Okay, which is good. The idea that a guy could just have a player there, even if the computer, especially if the computer is there and it'll perform an auto block, is fucking bullshit. Reward the player who's actually controlling him and goes for the tackle at the proper time, goes for the block at the proper time. Controls and personality. What does this say? Besides trying to balance outcomes of defending, we also made changes to controls and improve player personality, shoulder challenges, seal outs, tap circle while side by side with your opponent, circle of B, when defending to contextually trigger a shoulder challenge or seal out. Okay, interesting. The efficiency of these behavior is related to defenders' attributes. Manual block, yes. Anything manual is what I want to hear. Tap circle close to the moment of the shot while your player is within the passing lane or shooting course. If timed appropriately, this will launch a manual block which has a higher possibility of succeeding and results in faster contact with the ball compared to auto block. See, that's something that is subtle, but that's a big change if it is actually pulled off, because it creates a wider skill gap. And that means that the player that you're controlling, you are in a position, you press the button to make him do the animation, and therefore you're the guy that's going to be most rewarded with the more favorable outcome, instead of having to rely on the computer to do it for you. See, that's a big deal. But again, they're one patch away from changing it all. More tackling personality. Balance to win ratio related to personality in order for high-rated tacklers to win the ball more. Thank you. Often when compared to low-rated players. Based on attributes, we increase the accuracy of the tackle. Okay. As well as improve the position of the player when starting animation. Okay, so better the attribute. See, this is one of the ways that FIFA, EA, really any sports game, but especially with this kind of the way soccer is or football, called everywhere else. This is a way to improve not only just the skill gap, but more importantly, making more players for full FIFA Ultimate Team useful. Not everybody is fast. And oftentimes the defenders are not the fastest, the great defenders who have great positioning but are great tacklers, and they fight for the ball and what have you. This makes them, and this is what I wanted from this game. This is the only way to combat the pay to win. Yes, you can have that you're going to have that aspect there that I don't want there, but at minimum, at least let players who are often like going to be cheaper because they aren't pacey, make them more useful. Make them more useful and not broken unuseful, like useful. What I mean is, that they should be more capable of doing things that the other players, just because they're faster, shouldn't be able to do. This is one way you can make those cards more useful. When you have guys that, for example, De Rossi back in the gap, who was for Roma, was just just one of the greatest CDMs of all time, period. Not as useful because he wasn't as fast, which he should be one of those guys who are going to get the more favorable animations when he's manual control. That's one way you can make a card like that more useful. Those CDMs, what's the homie that plays for fucking Real Madrid? I don't know if he's still there, the Brazilian. I don't know why I'm blanking right now. Guys like him, they're not that fast. They're supposed to be but still effective, and this is one way that you can make them make him and a lot of those other guys are more effective in terms of their usage. Let's see. We have Casamiro. Thank you. Somebody in the chat help me out. Casamiro. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. More tackling personality, balance win ratio in order. I read that. Physical player personality. Players that are more physical and combative can also trigger more shoulder challenges and seal outs when requesting in appropriate situations. That's good. Max jockey speed. Added personality effect to sprint jockey max speed based on the player's defensive awareness. Okay. The speed scale 60 to 99 defensive awareness, with any player below 60 having the minimal speed when performing a sprint jockey. So again, this is a way to make them more effective, make slower, better defenders more effective, in which they could move themselves laterally way better. It's not necessarily straight up and down speed, but they can at least move better from a defending standpoint when you're jockeying. So you're basically having them face up with the ball better than, and that's not determined by that player's speed. See, if all of this and what we name, to be fair, I love what it is that I'm reading here. I know it's one patch from being fucked, but if they actually go through with this could make for an entirely better experience and make for more unique gameplay, which is what this game needs for foot. I'm tired of seeing the same goddamn players, and it's not because they're good. It's just because they're broken on the game, because certain game stats don't even fucking matter. So we'll see more dynamic like teams, different kinds of teams, because more players are going to be more useful. And this is one way that you can do that, by making these stats just matter more, as opposed to acceleration, speed, and that's fucking it. So I like that. Assisted jockey versus skill moves. Improve assisted jockey, which isn't even on the fucking assisted jockey isn't on the competitive mode, so I don't care. Interception and disruption interceptions. Let's see. One of the biggest pieces of feedback we received last year was about how even when you felt you were in the right place at the right time, you wouldn't always be able to intercept certain passes. The reason being is because the assisted passing made it to where he would pass it in the space, so it didn't matter if you had cut it off. You still pass it in the space. We improved many aspects of normal interceptions. Created disrupt interceptions. Disrupt interceptions are a mix between controlling the ball and blocking. The goal here is to disrupt the course of the pass, even if it means not retaining the ball. These disrupt interceptions can only be performed by user-controlled players. I like that. And with the left stick input directly towards the path of the ball instead of the ball or the receiver. Player personality also plays a big part here, with attributes determining how far players can reach to intercept, how quickly they can react, how successfully they can touch the ball. Disrupt interceptions are designed to reward players that have the ability to read the game and position themselves accordingly. This all sounds great, guys. This rewards players that play manually, but it can be fucked. I have to always make that distinction. But that's good. I actually like to hear that. Teammate contain. What is this? We've introduced several changes to teammate contain as before, holding R1, RB, which that's basically, for you that don't know, it's basically you're able to control a second player and have him position himself, while that's different from the one that you're actually controlling. In order to have AI control teammate contain the ball carrier. For FIFA 22, we're interesting teammate contain stamina. Interesting. Every player has their own contained stamina that allows them to keep containing as long as it is not completed. Contained stamina drains while the R1 RB button is being held. And once the containing teammate runs out of contained stamina, they will go back to their regular instructions and enter a cooldown period for a few seconds where they cannot contain anymore. So basically, you can't abuse that mechanic is what it's saying. Contained stamina is represented by a UI above the teammate's head. Okay, that's good, so we'll be able to tell when they're tired. Player personality is what determines how close a teammate gets to the ball carrier while containing. For their urgency to do so, the contained stamina they have, and also the duration of the cooldown. The attributes that dictate these values are defensive awareness, defensive work rates, which go from high, medium to low, and remaining in match stamina. So those two defensive awareness in combination with the other things are seemingly gonna matter a little more, which is good. Again, just because you got a pacey center back does not mean you should be able to dominate the pitch. The goal for teammate contain is that someone in a world-class defensive midfielder is more effective and reliable at closing down their opponent than attackers, for example, who might be focused more on offensive duties. I like that. I actually like that. makes me be able to use more central defensive midfielders. Unfortunately, looking at what we looked at with the last video, if there's no individual tactic that we can give them to make them cover that space, or that rating doesn't help that, then we still have a problem. But I'm okay with, for example, in that thing that we had before, that video that we watched, I'm okay with it being to where that neat player, for them to cover that space more aggressively, they have to have a high defensive rating. I'm perfectly fine with that. We have a player switching, which has been one of the most busted fucking things on this game, and hopefully they address this. Oh man, it looks like they're finally addressing it in a way that me and my buddy Brandon had said they should have did it. And FIFA 22, we wanted to provide players with even more ways to switch, as players can have different priorities when switching. We've added 4 new options, including icon switching and player rotation. Icon switching. That's what I've asked for. That's what we've been asking for. And that is a way that says, okay, you hold the button, you push the button, and it'll go to that fucking player. Thank you. This is a new form of switching that provides players with a surefire way to select their desired player. To activate icon switching, press R3 while defending, and you will see UI elements above 4 of your player's head, each with a specific direction, like in the image. So in the image, let me see if I can't see it. Hold on. Okay. So the icon is not icon in terms of like a button like X or something like that. Is icon in terms of the right stick. So you move it right stick up, down, right, left, and it'll go to these. And they're kind of coordinated, though not entirely, by way of where they're at. Because the up guy isn't the up guy. The up guy is the guy on the right stick, but he's to the right of the ball, so that makes sense. After pressing R3, you can flick the right stick in any direction on the icon, but the player's head, and then switch. The switch will happen. There's also a controller section to disable icon switching. Fuck that. That shit's gonna be fucking on. More switch options. Player rotation. A new option for right stick switching allows for you to move the next player switch indicator, essentially allowing you to pre-switch before confirming. Okay. Once you are satisfied with your choice, press L1. Press manual switch L1 to confirm. I don't understand that. So basically you move it and then you press L1 to switch to him instead of it just switching to him. I got you. The movement indicator is based on its current position. Okay, so I got it. Auto switching. In addition to air balls, loose balls, switching option, we added 2 new options. One for only on air balls and one for only on loose balls. Auto switching, which I don't ever do. I always manual switch. So this may help some of you guys, but I always manual switch. Auto switching now has 5 different ways to function, including manual and automatics, allowing you to decide most impactful for your switching game. Directional clearance and technical clearances. This year we introduced new directional clearances, which require more skill to successfully execute, but also offer more control compared to classic clearances. And this is when the ball usually is in the other half or your half, and you're trying to get rid of it. Called technical clearances. Directional clearances. This is a new default option for clearances with the trajectory now following the left stick input as much as they can, trying to still perform the earliest contact with the ball. For references, classic clearances do not take consideration with your left foot. Okay, I get that. Technical clearances, though, is you do it with R1 and you do it with R1. Don't put circle. It says a new mechanic that always tries to kick the ball forward and as far as possible from the area, so it'll always just get rid of it. Okay. There's no concept of urgency. Technical clearances, meaning they might result in later contact with the ball. Okay. More tactics, instructions, customization. Let's see what this is about. Defense, like I said, besides the new attacking tactics mentioned earlier, we made additional changes to tactics and new instructions to further customize your play style. Depth and width sliders now range from 1 to 100, allowing for more nuanced customization. Okay. I mean, it just, I get, okay. I guess. I mean, it's just, the slider's just been lengthened, I guess. Free roam instructions for CDMs allow for a deep lying playmaker role, coming closer to support the ball handler and dropping. Hold up. This might be the best one here. Hold up, y'all. It says free roam instructions for CDMs allow for a deep lying playmaker role, coming closer to support the ball handler and also dropping deeper to receive a pass from possession or build-up. Step-up instructions for center backs and fullbacks now can have them step up out of position and mark the opposing attackers tighter when they receive the ball. So they can run up, press more, basically, in the event that the person that they have the ball, which that's going to be most useful for the guys on the outside. No, then it depends on how you plan. Overlap instructions for center backs, only for 3 or 5 defender formations. To overlap when in correct position and provide attacking support to teammates. See, I wish that CDM on the free. Thankfully for adding for a free roam, but it still doesn't seem to be one that like a press option, which is what I want. I want me to be able to have a center defensive midfielder to be able to cover space instead of just standing there, and more so move towards the ball instead of, okay, the attacking position. I guess their attackers have moved beyond where that sort of threshold is, and then they just stop fucking moving. Overlap instructions, we just read that. Across the pitch, bigger goal moments, but building on the big goal moments from last year, we increased the number of scenes. That's all cosmetic shit. Player movement. We made a number of changes of player movement and speed. Increased the max of top speed. This change more closely mirrors real-life speed of professional football athletes and requires players to run longer to reach their new max speed. This change also positively affects lower speed players as they are slightly faster in small places than before, thankfully. However, they will still be slow in performing long distance runs, which is good. Like, you don't look. Not every center back dominates the game by being able to outrun their opponent. They should be able to get to places faster. I agree. Control deceleration. Some players with higher attributes can decelerate faster when transitioning into a dribble or trapping the ball. Only players with the ability, ball control, and dribble attributes equal to or greater than 80 are eligible for controlled deceleration. New star player movement. Added new visuals for a few players when moving in certain conditions, such as Phil Foden and Son. I don't care about that. Assigned avatar running styles. I don't care about that. So if you care about that immersive experience, that more players run like they do in real life. That's all they're saying. Set pieces. From visual mechanics, there are more dynamic actions, they say. Free kick wall visuals have been refreshed. I don't care about that. David Beckham free kicks, added unique animation to replicate the iconic technique of David Beckham's free kicks. Like, okay. Hang on, quick free kick. During a quick free kick to hang on to it for a few more seconds to give your teammates more time to get in position. Okay. Co-op set piece. So that's for you guys that are throw-in improvements. They've been there. Man, this stuff that doesn't really – I mean, I'm a free kick guy, but not like this. Like co-op change, I don't care about that. Earlier call short. Okay. Free kick accuracy, increased shot accuracy and free kicks, especially when applying a lot of spin. This is affected. All right. Computer, CPU AI. It is a very important area with a lot of FIFA players focusing on career mode. I don't care about that. Yeah, but I get that those guys that play career mode can do that. All right, let's see what this is. Competitor mode tweaks. For players who like a challenge, we rewrote defending competitor mode CPU AI. Wait, this for offline shit? Defending competitor mode with something called threat-based defending. The CPU better understanding the player-based difficulty is a new setting. This is all fucking like career mode shit. Okay. Physical play. Another area of focus was to improve the physicality of players, mainly focus on fairness of outcomes to accomplish this. Increase strength attribute. Yes. Says it increased strength, attribute, impact, and emphasized strength. Differentiation between players when involved in physical play. Added more intelligent stumbles. Okay, that's all. But yes, making strength matter more. Yes. Pass shot, tackle improvement, tackle back refers to when the tackler performs a good tackle on a tackle, but the tackle quickly recovers. Oh, man, we've seen that a lot. To prioritize fairness in the game, we have made changes to reduce the amount of tackle backs. However, while some of these changes can impact visual fidelity in specific instances, they create a more positive and satisfying experience for the defender. Pass and shot improvements. Says animations when the club will find a time not already tackling. While this may impact, it does not create more. It does create a more positive shooting experience for the tackle. Okay. All right, FIFA attributes. Let's see what this is. We've increased FIFA attributes that were introduced last year for kickoff online seasons. I don't care about that. Additional changes. Net physics, don't care about that. Increased consistency. Accuracy. This is all bullshit. And community and title updates. And basically all this is saying is that, yes, we reserve the right to fuck the game up after release. For illustrate, a small tuning change that could have been previously taken up to 2 months will be released for multiple reasons, can now be released at a faster timeline. So apparently they can do live tuning updates, which is only good if they're only keeping it like cordial, bro. If they fucking just doing the shit just because somebody bitched one time about something and they basically undo the effectiveness of certain situations, like strong players being strong, then none of this shit matters. Okay, so that's it. That's a deep dive. Look, as every year, there are some things that, like I would say this year more than others in terms of them breaking it down, I'm seeing more positive stuff. But that doesn't matter if the application is terrible, and if it is like that and it gets patched to hell, everything that we just went through doesn't mean fucking anything, man. It doesn't mean fucking anything. It means absolutely fucking nothing. So that's what has to be determined, or that is rather what is to be determined. If they pull it off, and if they do pull it off, how many more people does it take that played the old style of FIFA, using pacier players and abusing game mechanics, before they start bitching because they're not as good at the game anymore? We'll see. So those are my thoughts. Even like the demo is not going to tell much. You really can't understand how this game is going to play unless we get our hands on it and, we can mess around with different players, seeing how they compare and contrast to each other. We'll see. But would I love for this game to be decent? Of course. But I know the community is fucked. I know the pro level circuit is fucked in this game. And that doesn't mean that, we're going to get something good. So we'll